Today we're going to talk about this Rainbow Country leather jacket. The model is Speedster. It's a cafe racer style that they make. That's one of their standard styles. So in this review, we're going to go over the brand, materials, the features, construction, and the detail. We're going to talk about sizing recommendations and how does the jacket fit overall. We're going to talk about its wearability, both from a comfort standpoint and how it works on the body, plus a versatility standpoint and styling this jacket. And then finally, we're going to talk about the cost, the value proposition for this jacket, and is it worth it? First off, a bit about the brand. So Rainbow Country is a Japanese-based maker. They really do leather goods, and that's about it. And they're known as a very high-tier maker, an expensive maker. They make everything in their jackets comes from Japan. All of the components are Japanese made, and they're all assembled in Japan. So it's a 100% Japanese made garment. And they really have a kind of focus on 30s to 50s Americana styles. I did do a review of another Rainbow Country jacket, their Hercules model, and you can see that review. I'll put a link to it here. Now, the materials on this jacket. Now, it's a leather jacket, so obviously leather is the primary material, and kind of if you're interested in this jacket, there's a high chance it's because of the leather that they use, and that leather also drives the cost, and in general is one of the just core components and most important things about this jacket is the leather. And just to say it, the leather is simply stunning. So this is a hide that's made from the Shinki Hikaku leather tannery in Japan, and a kind of a famous place for high-grade leather materials. And Rainbow Country has specifications that they use, and then to my understanding they also do some treatments to the leather after they receive it. And the leather on this jacket is substantial. It has a beautiful grain, very kind of tight grain, I would say, and just a depth of character. It's robust while still being pliable. It is in some ways a perfect leather for just a really comfortable but robust and stylish leather jacket. Really a kind of it's hard to put into words just how beautiful this leather is, and so that's why we have the pictures and everything. But I would also say it just feels really nice, and that is hard to convey in pictures, but just the texture of it is wonderful. And I have been told, so I have a really bad sense of smell, but I have been told also that it has a really pleasant leather aroma. Something that I can't really tell. This also came up recently, and something just to throw in there. This is a very quiet leather. Some leathers are really squeaky, and that tends to be due to their top coat or something that's been added on top after it's been made, like a conditioner or something that's squeaky. This leather is very quiet. Very quiet. It basically makes no squeaks at all. So other materials for this jacket, its lining is a very kind of smooth, slippery rayon, and that lining is throughout. So both the body and the sleeves on this jacket have the same lining, and that fits in with the kind of style of this jacket, which is intended to be a lightweight racing shirt style, cafe racer style jacket. And those tend to have a kind of lighter weight, smoother linings. The zippers, they are branded with Cal MFG, so for California manufacturing. Rainbow Country is the maker, and their brand is California Manufacturing Co. And so they have the California Manufacturing label on the zips that have a pull tab, all three of them. And then the chest zippers are ball and chain style, and they are also branded with California Manufacturing on the ball. I just noticed that. There's one interior pocket on this jacket, and no exterior pockets for the hands, just the two chest pockets. So kind of a streamlined front end of the jacket. The back has an action back that goes all the way from a half belt waistband, and then the action back is actually quite a large action back that goes all the way from that midpoint to the top of the jacket. The construction of the jacket is superlative, beautifully made, extremely well done with an extreme eye for detail. The stitching is very straight, very neat, with a high number of stitches per inch, and it gives off a very well put together, refined air. And in fact, they've even stitched in the lining on the inside. It is not blousy or moving around at all. This interior of the jacket stays in place, and the stitch work, they've actually made it to where it completely mirrors the stitch work for the leather that's put the jacket together. Other things about the construction, the band collar is comfortably made to where it stands but does not get in the way, and all of the zips and snaps and everything work smoothly and are a reasonable size for the weight of the jacket. There's no kind of mismatch between any of the hardware and the materials. Everything about the jacket from a construction sense is really well thought out and well done. So sizing on this jacket, and this is one of the really wonderful things for me as a dude in America buying a Japanese-made jacket, is that their sizing really works for me without having to make any adjustments. And by that I mean I typically take a size 40 in American sizes. For example, my Shot 618, this is an American biker jacket. I wear a 40 in that jacket. And in this Rainbow Country jacket made in Japan, I wear a 40. And the fit is really good. Just for reference too, I'm 5'9", I'm 175 pounds. My chest is just over 40 inches. And this size 40 fits exactly how you'd want a cafe racer racing shirt style jacket to fit, which is, it is a trim fit with room to move comfortably, but not really a lot of room for layers. Other things to note about the fit, it is a very trim fit, and the jacket does have high armholes, which could lead to some degree of limited mobility, especially while zipped. However, because this jacket features this really full action back, it actually is very comfortable to wear. It moves very easily with the body, and the kind of slippery lining on it makes it go on and off very easily no matter what I'm wearing with it. It's just a very comfortable jacket. And from a weight standpoint, the jacket weighs about 4.5 pounds. And so it is kind of a medium lighter weight jacket. You know, it doesn't have a lot of heavy hardware, belt buckles, bunch of zips. It doesn't have a heavy lining. So overall feeling of the jacket is that while it is robust, it's in a kind of light to mid-weight category as an overall weight. And it rests really easily on the body. It moves easily on the body. Everything about this design is comfortable and practical while still looking awesome. And talking about looks and versatility and styling this jacket, the color, a brown, it's a really kind of rich burgundy brown. It has an interesting depth of color to it, and I find you can pretty easily just sub it in for anything you would have worn with a black jacket. You can use this color because it's dark enough and it tends to play well with similar colors. And that's what I've done with it, and it seems to work great. It also does work pretty well with other browns. You just have to watch out for, with browns, not having kind of like the uncanny valley. You don't want a color that's too close but not quite close enough. You can get a color wheel out and look at it and sort things out from there if you really want to. And folks that are really interested in color balance and making the colors of their outfits work in a certain way could probably give you more advice than I could on that. But I found it to be a really versatile color. Now, from a style of the jacket, you know, more so than the other Rainbow Country jacket, which was a Hercules model, a sports jacket, this Speedster is obviously much more biker jacket style, and it does have more of an edge to it. It's a jacket that may give more rock and roll style vibes or streetwear style vibes. It's a jacket that I think tends to pair better with more casual styles than, say, the Hercules would with its dress collar and more kind of refined styling. But I would say with that, with a caveat, which is because the jacket is so obviously made of such fine materials and is so neatly and precisely put together, even as a biker jacket, it does have a refined aura. And I wore it with jeans and a dress shirt, a button-up, collared dress shirt, and I think that the look was really great. Even if it did have a bit of an edge or a bit of a rock and roll style vibe to it, I really think that kind of the fact of the jacket mashing up these two kind of refined materials and construction with a biker style jacket does give it more versatility than a biker jacket, like a cafe racer style jacket from Vanson, who is really, they're really making true biker jackets. I do think from a temperature standpoint, the lighter lining on this jacket and the lack of room for layers does mean that this is a jacket that is for those not so cold times. It doesn't have a melted wool lining and cotton flannel in the sleeve, so it's not going to do as well during those colder months. But hey, this is great for summer nights or spring weather and transitional weather. And what I think, the perfect leather weather sometimes is in the 60s, and it really works well in that kind of weather. Let's talk about the cost. So this jacket costs over 200,000 yen. The list price when I looked it up was, I believe, 225,500 yen. It's a big number. Right now, the conversion rate to US dollars, if you were able to buy it without paying for shipping or import fees or any of that kind of stuff, that's a direct translation to over $1,500 US. Depending on where you are, conversion rates do matter. And of course, timing matters for conversion rates. So I want to give you the actual list price to compare. Now, that typically means if you're buying this jacket used, you can get it for less than that, but you have to consider that with really nice jackets like this that are produced in limited numbers, scarcity impacts pricing, and you could probably expect to pay anywhere between $1,000 US dollars to $1,500 US dollars, like the full price, even if you're buying this used, just to be able to buy it. And when we're talking about these jackets, we're talking about makers at this level, this is a good price. That's the truth of it. It's very expensive, but this is what it costs to get a jacket made of these kind of expensive materials with this level of attention to detail. Honestly, this is, and it's going to sound funny saying this, but it's a really good price for what you're getting. And there are fashion style jackets, like fashion house jackets that go in leather that are going for $5,000, $6,000, $8,000 jackets. Of course, you could always pay as much as you want, as long as you're willing to pay more. As in, if you have $10,000 to spend on a jacket, you could probably find someone that's selling a jacket for $10,000. But with this, price of just over 200,000 yen, that puts it as less expensive than some models from Real McCoy's, for example. And I have to say the quality is at least as good as Real McCoy's, and the hide is at least as good as Real McCoy's. So, it's in the ballpark and what you would expect to pay for this. Now, how do you make this kind of price make sense? It does have to go back to a couple of things. Value most purely expressed is a cost per wear thing. So if you're interested in getting a jacket at this price point, wear it a bunch, and your cost per wear continues dropping down. You also have to consider if you're really interested in these vintage styles and horsehide with a certain character, there's only so many makers that are doing it. And if you really want an awesome vintage style jacket from the 50s and you're interested in seeing it develop over time and really having a relationship with that jacket and building your history with it, then, you have sort of limited options for this really beautiful kind of high-end repros, and the price is appropriate for that range. Final thoughts, would I recommend this jacket? Yes. I've worn a lot of jackets, and this is my second Rainbow Country, as I mentioned, and man, 2 for 2. This is only the second Rainbow Country jacket I've tried on. I've tried on so many jackets over time, and this second Rainbow Country is just as superlative and awesome and well-fitting as my first try with Rainbow Country. And that is really saying something, that they are making an awesome jacket. They're making a jacket that really fits well on the body, that's really well thought out, that's beautifully constructed out of these beautiful materials. And it's really hard for me to I can't really find any negatives. The only negative I could say would be, can you find it in your size? Can you find it in the color you want? And can you afford it? I mean, that's about it. And those are things that are for you to figure out a little bit, especially if it makes sense for you to buy a jacket at this cost. But if you're looking, I gotta give it just 100%. These are awesome jackets. I can't wait for my next Rainbow Country jacket. I don't know. Maybe I'll just switch to an entire Rainbow Country wardrobe. I think that might be silly wishful thinking, but they are really good at what they do. And if you're considering this Speedster model, you should go for it. You're going to be pleased. Don't hesitate if you find it in your size at a price that you can go for. If you have a Speedster or a Rainbow Country jacket, I'd be curious about your take on it. And let me know if I'm leaving something out of this review that you'd like to know more about. I'm here to share it. Have a good one.